Hey y'all, welcome back. Thanks for watching today. We have a little Halloween Ghostie Gal that we're going to work on here. So it's a Dollar Tree ghost that I picked up for $1.25. So I'm just going to take its original hanger out here so we can give it a little paint job. So the natural wood doesn't really bother me, but we're just going with a different take on it today. So I'm going to get a piece of that car wash sponge you all see me use all the time. And I've sped this up just a little bit so that you are not literally watching paint and paint dry. So I'm using some more of this Delta cream coat or whatever it's called. And it's the free paint that I had. And I'm just going to give it a little bit. So you'll see me just spread it around. And I'm just going to paint it in. And work on getting all the crevices around the eyes, the mouth, all that. Just get a good coating. Looks like it's going to take a couple coatings, so we'll get the first layer on here and then use the hair dryer on it and kind of speed the process up a little bit. So as you can see, we're just getting a little bit of around the edges and all that. So I've done a couple of these in the past, so one of the things that you could do, you could get this and get some of the Dollar Tree vinyl. I did one in a silver glitter, and it turned out really cute too. So you could take this a couple different directions. And I made that one kind of glitzy. And I may go back, I'll show you here when we get a couple steps later on. I may go back and add a little something to that one. So after seeing how this one turned out, I decided maybe that might be nice. So just going to pull out the hair dryer here, give it a good dry, and then we'll move on to the next coat. And since this is a craft that, $1.25, not too bad. So with that and just a little bit of time, depending on how much you want to invest in it, you can make it as cute as you want, or you can make a whole family of them. So you could put this on a stake if you fill that hole with a little bit, the hanger hole, if you filled that with a little bit of wood filler, you could totally put this on a stake out in the yard. Of course, knowing as thin as the wood is, it may only last for one season depending on, how wet the weather is and all of that. It's been really dry here for us, so given that rate, it might hold out a long time or a couple seasons, but either way, just knowing that if you're putting it out, it may or may not last. But if you're looking for something that you have created yourself, it is pretty easy to do. And I use just recycled materials here in a little bit. You'll see, to kind of embellish this little guy, or a little gal, is what I've decided is the direction we're going. So ended up doing 3 coats here, and we'll go back and get around all of the mouth openings and all that. When I did the previous one with the vinyl, I unrolled the vinyl and peeled the back sheet off of it, just laid my ghost face down on what I deemed to be the face, smoothed it really, really good, no bubbles. It was great. It worked out fine. And then I just took my, I think I used my True Control knife of my Cricut, and I just cut around the openings and cut around the outside, and it worked out great. So, like I said, you can take this a couple different ways. And as you can see, I'm just going around where, I guess these are laser cut maybe. I don't know for sure how Dollar Trees, it may have said on that tag. I'm not sure. But the tag's on and gone now. So, but I'm just going around that, just making sure it's all coated. And I do give the back just a one coat here in a bit. Just wanting to make sure that where it obviously bled around a little bit, I'm not the most careful painter here on this. But around that, I just wanted to make sure that blended in a little bit. So here I'm just going to take one of the painter's paint pens and just kind of give it a little whimsy around the edges. This would help if you have a white door. That'll help your ghost stand out a little bit. Or if you're hanging on the porch or something, whatever you're doing with it. But I debated on maybe doing the dots and dashes. I didn't do that. Just ended up doing some lines with gaps and just not being overly careful. That's the idea, because if you're trying to be super careful, then any, imperfection is going to stick out. This way I can make it look like I meant to do that. So I'm just going to give it a quick coat here with the Rust-Oleum 2x matte clear coat on front and back, just to help it maybe hold out just a little bit more. So just giving it a quick coat there, hanging it on the fence, and that's one of the handiest things. So here I'm just going to take a decent amount of a piece of twine, and going to fold it and find the middle, just lay it out there. And then got some pieces of spare felt that I had, just some scrap stuff, and just testing that out to see if that works. And since that little triangle worked, I'm just going to cut them all off the same thing, and you'll see I've got 3. And it hit me right then that wait a minute, I could use both sides of this, both the negative and the positive, basically. So I can use my little triangle pennant, but then the other way I've got these little notched or bifurcated pennants, I guess you would call it. Anyway, just have a different take on it. So I had a white paint pen, but it had dried up, so I'm just going to use a little bit of that Delta Cream Coat or Dream Coat, and I'm going to try to draw on here. So as I'm drawing, I kind of realize it is kind of fuzzing up with the felt. That's obviously, a factor there when you're working with felt, that you might get some fuzzies. So it does dawn on me, though, to maybe just dot it on at a certain point. So I do that. And as you can see, we're spelling out boo here. And just going to get that all on there. And then we'll let them dry. And we'll kind of string them on our pennant here shortly as well. So it's a really simple craft that anybody could do. Like I said, these are all materials that I had on hand. I did buy the Ghost, but as you can see, I'm kind of getting a little fuzzies there. So I'm gonna let it dry a little bit and see how that turns out. I do end up flipping them and going over the back side as well with the dotted, because I figured out that worked. So I just give it a little bit more on the other side. The B I kept with it, but the 2 O's I kind of gave them another shot just to see if I could do a little bit better. So I did think about, honestly, cutting those letters out with some heat transfer vinyl, but I decided I'm just do it to where this craft is accessible for anyone at any time. So you could do it, you could cut pieces of ribbon and use that. So here's the back, actually, you're seeing there. That was my first try at the O. And then you can see the front. It's a little bit neater. So anyway, just getting that attached to it so I can kind of see how that's going to line up. Trying to decide my spacing on my letters and all that. So you can kind of see here as I play with it to try to decide, should it be a full pennant width, wide difference? I couldn't decide on that. So just a little bit less is what I decided to go with on it. So end up just holding it down and actually just gluing it to my countertop. That's varnished wood, and it's not going to hurt it. It'll peel right back off. So and definitely be careful with hot glue. That's my public service announcement. It had been a little bit since I had burnt myself with mine, and now I have a blister to prove it. So it's actually getting better already. So anyway, just stringing this along, and I finally decide if I do that and I tack the middle one here, I'll tack it down and then stretch it out to see how it should drape if it were draping. I wanted really to leave it loose, but my thought was with just a little tiny strip of the glue at the top of the pennant, I might regret that. So I ended up just tacking them down with a little bit of hot glue all the way through there. So and then to decide how that's going to attach there, I give it a little bit more because it was a little bit loose there on the twine itself. And just gonna flip him over or flip her over here, and I'm actually gonna grab a piece of just Scotch tape and tape it down on both sides. So it just holds it in place so I can get a little bit of glue and kind of fidget with it. Gives me, kind of an extra hand that way. And then I'll just go through there and get it better attached. So I've got some scrap ribbon here, and I'm going to do the 2 loop method and just kind of get it tied into a bow. This is more satin on one side, so I want both of those sides showing. So just going to see how that looks and see if I'm happy with these little yellow bows. So I know orange gets used a lot, but I thought this little ghost could use some yellow, especially since I had no orange ribbon and I have yellow ribbon. So hey, why not? So just another 2 loop bow here, super easy to make. And I realized there I had not flipped it to where the correct side was showing, so I'm going the best way I can. And then I think that I'm gonna like that. So let's get the ends burnt here on my ribbon so they won't fray out anymore. Just kind of barely toasting the ends, not catching them on fire, and getting those ready to where they can withstand some time. They would fray if they were left, for sure. So just gonna put some glue to tack that down there in the corner under the twine and over the twine on both sides of it here. And hold them down there to get it. I want it to lay a certain way, and just kind of pulling it just slightly so it will do what I want it to do. And had the fan on in the craft room, so definitely cooled pretty quick there. So just gonna get my little bows like I want them to be. As you can tell, I like to have cords tied up short, so sometimes that is to my own detriment though, because I really could have just unlooped a little bit more of this glue gun cord, but I did not. So I don't like them dangling down in the way if it's not necessary, so I just scoop my ghost around instead of the glue gun itself. So, and then put those on. And so our little girly ghost is shaping up here, and I think she needs something else, but I do think I need to trim these tails back here, tack that down really good on the back side, and with some hot glue. So I pulled that off just to see how it was going to act. And I did want the illusion that it ended on the front, but at the same time I want just a little bit more of something holding that twine. So I'm going to add just a dab of hot glue here and just tape it back down after I thought about that it'll help hold it while that is cooling. So just kind of do the same thing on the other side here and lay it back down with the tape too and let those cool. So I did also think about using the crocodile to punch some holes in the hands and have that twine go through those and just tie it off. But in the end I decided that the hot glue would be okay. Depending on where you are, if you're more southern, it may still be very, very hot, and hot glue may not withstand for you. So, but I figured I was relying on it for everything else on this craft, so I just continue on there as well. So just making sure my bow is going to do what I want there. Pretty happy with the look of that. And now I've got another scrap piece here, and normally I would square off the ends of this ribbon to be able to do it, but I don't have any more of it to work with, so I don't want to cut any off. So what I'm going to do is I'm fidgeting with the hot glue there. I'm going to put a little bead of glue here and loop it over and just get these two to attach and hide that behind like I said, I would normally cut it off and square it off so it's a whole lot more even, but I decided that I didn't want to lose any of it. So it is wired ribbon. This is just some scrap that I had. It's the last piece, actually, so we'll let that cool down really quick, and in the meantime, while that's doing that, I'm going to trim off the excess here on the twine. And then once that is done, we'll flip over our ghostie here, and I'm gonna work with this loop here and see if it's gonna shape up to what I'm hoping here. And I think it will. So I just want that little cute little hair bow look there. So because his face on this ghost, I can't decide, is it funny, is it scary? I truly cannot decide. So this is the tie that was originally on the ghost. I started to just cut another piece of twine, but if this is working, so it was looped through and just tied before. I don't really love that, so I tucked it in and just did a knot that way, and then I'm going to knot the top. And I kind of have to pull it back toward me here, so I'm sorry if it goes a little bit off camera for just a moment here. But I'm just going to get that ready to where it can hang up. I mainly wanted to get this hanger back in there so that if I blocked it with the bow, I've covered that and I'm not fighting with the bow that I just created. So, but in the end, you'll see it doesn't really seem to be a problem. So I would have had enough room. So I had another piece of scrap, imagine that, of this little skinny sunflower ribbon. And I really liked this. So fortunately, I only use a tiny bit of it to go around the middle here on this little bow. As you can see, I'm just looping around and I'm going to tie it off. I tie it twice when I'm doing these. And it just gives a little hint of that sunflower through there when you see it in the middle. So just a little pizzazz that way. If you like the video so far, please hit that thumbs up button down there. It doesn't cost you a thing. Please subscribe. Please consider subscribing. It's also free. It does not cost you anything, and I'd love to have you come back and leave a comment in the bottom. Let me know what you thought. Would you have gone with a yellow, or would you have changed it up and went with an orange? So I did not want to have to run out to finish this craft. I really like the idea of using up all the little ribbon scraps that I have. It kind of makes me happy knowing that I have kept them and I have used them. So I almost put the glue on the ghost, and then I decided, better put it on the bow and then put the bow on the ghost. So that's what I do here. I'm just going to hold it and secure it, let it cool just slightly so that it will hold where I want it to be. And so as you can see, she is done. I don't know what her name should be, but there she is. So Boo from Monsters Inc. comes to mind. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed. I really appreciate you watching, spending your time. So like I said, if you really like it, please give a thumbs up, and leave a comment in the bottom, and please consider subscribing, and so you can come back and catch other videos that we do. I try to put out at least one a week. So I hope you have had a great day, and I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Thanks.